The flagship of the Zerathian Empire, the Obsidian Throne, floated silently among the stars. Its dark metallic surface gleamed under the light of distant suns, reflecting both its power and its danger. Commander Elias Drake, a human hero of the Galactic Alliance, walked along the wide corridors of the ship. His steps echoed in the vast halls, a sound that reminded him of how alone he was now, despite the hundreds of alien officers and soldiers around him. Elias had fought alongside the Zerathians for years, leading humans and aliens together against the Craven Swarm, a race of marauders that threatened the entire galaxy. He had earned their respect and had even become close to Queen Zira, the leader of the Zerathians. Her towering presence, covered in scales that shifted colors like liquid metal, had always seemed untouchable. Yet, in the last few hours, everything had changed. The council chamber was filled with Zerathian officers all watching him. Their expressions were cold and calculating. The air was tense, filled with the weight of accusation and fear. At the center of it all, Queen Zira sat upon her throne, her golden eyes fixed on Elias. She was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, a being who could command a fleet and crush worlds if she wished. But now she seemed angry, more angry than Elias had ever seen. "You are not worthy to stand beside me, human." Zira's voice echoed across the chamber, sharp as a blade. Her words were like a whip, cutting through the respect and trust he had earned. Elias felt a cold weight in his chest. He knew immediately that this was no ordinary accusation. Something deeper and darker was at play. "I don't understand, Your Majesty," Elias said, his voice steady but his mind racing. "I have served you, the Zerathians, and our alliance faithfully. I have never betrayed you." Zira's eyes narrowed. "Evidence says otherwise. Supplies meant for our front lines were sabotaged. Our forces suffered great losses. And yet, the one in charge of these operations was you. Tell me, human, how do you explain that?" The council murmured. Even those who had once been friendly toward him now avoided his gaze. Elias's stomach twisted. He had been meticulous in planning every mission. Every shipment had been accounted for. How could this happen? He stepped forward, holding his hands open to show he carried no weapons. "I swear on my honor I did not betray you. Someone is trying to frame me. I don't know who, but I will find them. The humans and I have always been your allies." Zira's gaze did not soften. Her long, clawed fingers tapped lightly against the arm of her throne. "Your words are meaningless against proof of failure. In my fleet, trust is earned, and you have lost it. You will step aside until this is resolved, if it can be resolved at all." The words struck him like a blow. To be cast aside in front of the entire fleet was a humiliation that few humans could endure. Yet Elias refused to bow his head in defeat. He squared his shoulders, meeting Zira's golden eyes. "I will prove my loyalty," he said, "even if I must do it alone." Zira tilted her head slightly, as if considering whether to punish him further. Then, with a flick of her hand, she dismissed him. Guards moved forward, but Elias stepped back, shaking his head. He would not be taken quietly. Later, in the observation deck, Elias gazed out at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly before him, beautiful and cold. Ships of the Alliance moved silently, unaware of the growing tension within their ranks. His mind raced. Something was wrong. Too many coincidences, too many shadows in the reports, too many unexplained failures. Someone was manipulating events, and he needed to find them before it was too late. A soft beep from his datapad drew his attention. Mara Lynn, the human engineer he trusted most, had sent a message. "Elias, I've been analyzing the sabotage logs. There's something odd about the energy signatures at the supply depots. Whoever did this knows exactly how to avoid detection. Meet me at the lower docking bay. Don't go alone." He smiled faintly, feeling a spark of hope. he was not entirely alone. He would need all the allies he could gather, human and alien alike, to survive what was coming. As he made his way to the docking bay, he passed Zarathian soldiers, all keeping their distance. Some stared, some whispered. The betrayal had spread like wildfire, tainting his reputation. But Elias ignored the stares. He had a mission, and he would not fail. The docking bay was a massive hangar filled with ships of every shape and size. The human freighters were dwarfed by the sleek and powerful Zarathian vessels, but Elias was not here for appearances. Mara waited beside a small transport shuttle, her eyes bright with determination. "You made it," she said, her voice low. "I found something. The sabotage wasn't random, it was coordinated. Someone within the fleet is working with the Craven Swarm." Elias's jaw tightened. "A traitor in Zira's fleet, and they're trying to frame me." Mara nodded. "Exactly. And if we don't act fast, the fleet will be destroyed. We have to gather evidence and expose them. Only then will the Queen see the truth." Elias looked around the empty hangar, the engines of ships humming softly. "Then we start tonight. We move quickly, quietly, and find the truth before they strike again." The journey was dangerous. They traveled across the barren surface of a nearby moon, navigating ruins left by an ancient alien civilization. The ruins were dark and silent, but their sensors detected strange energy readings, signs of the shadow faction that Mara had suspected. "This place, it's unlike anything I've seen," Elias said, his eyes scanning the towering structures. "The architecture, it's advanced, but abandoned." "Why would they hide here?" Mara examined the readings. "Because it's safe from prying eyes. The Shadow faction is smart. They knew the fleet would never check here. They're planning their next move." Suddenly, a low hum echoed through the ruins. Lights flickered in the distance. Elias motioned for the team to stay quiet. Shadows moved in unnatural patterns, confirming their suspicions. "They're here," Mara whispered, "and they're waiting." Elias drew a small handheld scanner. "We need proof. No fighting unless necessary. Let's see who is really behind this." They crept forward, careful not to make a sound. The deeper they went, the more they realized the extent of the betrayal. Crates of stolen supplies, altered communications, and hidden communications devices linked to the Craven Swarm were scattered throughout the ruins. Every detail pointed to the same conclusion. The fleet had been infiltrated by a shadow faction, working to create chaos and mistrust. Elias's heart pounded. This was bigger than he imagined. It wasn't just about him. It was about the alliance between humans and Zarathians. If this faction succeeded, countless lives would be lost, and the fragile bond between species could be shattered forever. Mara turned to him. "We need to get this evidence back to the Queen, but we have to be careful. If they catch us—" "I know," Elias said, his voice firm. "We'll be ready. Humanity doesn't give up, and neither will I." As they made their way back to the transport shuttle, Elias felt a renewed sense of purpose. The betrayal had been painful, but it had not broken him. He would uncover the truth, expose the traitors, and restore trust, not just for himself, but for all humans standing beside the Zarathians. Back aboard the obsidian throne, Queen Zira looked down from her throne at the fleet. Her golden eyes were sharp, but a shadow of doubt had crossed her mind. For the first time in years, she questioned whether her judgment had been clouded, yet she could not admit it. Not yet. Elias had been cast aside, but the game was far from over. In the distance, stars gleamed coldly, and the galaxy held its breath. Betrayal had struck, but humanity's courage was far from extinguished. Elias Drake, wounded but unbroken, would rise, and the galaxy would witness that humans were not just survivors. They were fighters, thinkers, and worthy allies, even in the face of overwhelming doubt. The first step had been taken. The battle for truth and honor was just beginning, and Elias would not rest until justice was served. The barren moon stretched endlessly under twin suns, casting long, jagged shadows across the ancient ruins. Commander Elias Drake and his team had moved cautiously through the crumbling structures, their senses alert for any sign of the Shadow faction. Each step felt heavier than the last, but Elias felt a quiet determination growing in his chest. He could feel it, the heartbeat of humanity. It was not strength in muscle, but strength in spirit, intelligence, and courage. Mara Lynn, the human engineer, led the way, her scanner humming softly as it detected unusual energy signals. Behind her, Rex Oren, the pilot and strategist, scanned the skies for any threat, while Kyle, the young Zarathian ally, kept watch for signs of betrayal among their own species. Despite the tension, there was a sense of unity in the small group, human and alien side by side, driven by the same goal, to uncover the truth and restore trust. Elias paused before a tall, broken archway. The ruins here were unlike anything he had seen. Strange symbols were etched into the stone, glowing faintly as if reacting to their presence. He crouched, examining the markings. "These aren't just ruins," he said. "Someone is hiding here for a reason. They want to stay invisible, but they've left traces. And those traces, they're what we need." Mara nodded. "I've analyzed the energy readings. They match patterns we've seen in the Craven Swarm's technology. That means whoever is hiding here is working with them, or at least communicating with them." Kyle's tail flicked nervously. "I do not like it. My people have always trusted the Queen. If there is a traitor among us, it dishonors everything we fight for." Elias put a reassuring hand on Kale's shoulder. "I know, Kale. But this isn't just about honor. It's about survival. And more than that, it's about proving that humans and Zarathians can face deception together and win." They moved deeper into the ruins, stepping carefully over broken stone and jagged metal. The faint hum of energy grew louder, guiding them toward the source. Finally, they reached a hidden chamber, its entrance concealed behind a sliding stone panel. Elias pressed a button on his datapad, and the door slowly creaked open. Inside, they found a room filled with stolen supplies, altered communications equipment, and holographic displays. The screens showed encrypted messages being sent to unknown locations. Elias's eyes widened. "This is it. This is the proof we need to show the Queen that I did not betray her." Mara began scanning the devices, her fingers moving quickly over the holographic interface. "It's more than proof," she said. "These messages show plans for sabotage, not just against the humans, but against the Zarathian fleet itself. Whoever did this wants total chaos." Rex frowned. "And they almost succeeded. If the fleet had followed the orders in these messages, the entire front line would have fallen." Elias's jaw tightened. "We can't let that happen, not now. We gather the evidence, return to the fleet, and expose the traitor. Humanity, and the Alliance, depends on it." Suddenly, a loud metallic clang echoed through the chamber. Shadows flickered across the walls as figures moved swiftly in the dim light. The Shadow faction had detected them. Kyle hissed, his claws scraping the floor. "They are here!" Elias raised his hand. "Stay calm. No unnecessary fighting. We get the evidence first." The team split silently. Mara continued scanning while Elias and Kyle moved to block the entrances. Rex positioned himself at the back, ready to intercept any intruders. For several tense minutes, they moved like ghosts through the chamber, collecting data and storing it securely in portable drives. Then the leader of the Shadow faction appeared. A tall, masked Zarathian, whose presence seemed to absorb the light around him, stepped forward. "You are brave, human," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "But bravery alone will not save you." Elias's eyes narrowed. "I'm not here for bravery. I'm here for truth." and I will not let you destroy what humans and Zarathians have built together." The shadow leader smirked. "You speak of unity, yet your kind is so fragile. One accusation, one setback, and you crumble. Perhaps the Queen was right to doubt you." Elias's heart pounded, but he did not falter. "You underestimate humans. We do not break easily, and today I will prove it, not with weapons but with our minds and our courage." Kyle stepped beside him, claws extended. "Then fight with honor, human. Show them why we should stand together, not apart." Before a single blow was struck, alarms rang through the ruins. The Shadow faction had called for reinforcements. Shadows moved from every corner. But Elias remained focused. "Mara, finish scanning!" he shouted. Within moments, Mara held up the last portable drive. "Got it! All the evidence is here. Every message, every sabotage plan, every connection to the Craven Swarm." Elias nodded. "Then we leave. Now!" They raced through the ruins, shadows pursuing them relentlessly. Kale's knowledge of the terrain helped them evade capture, while Rex used clever distractions to mislead their enemies. The ruins shook as energy blasts struck the walls, but Elias remained determined. Humanity and their allies would not be defeated. Not here, not now. Finally, they reached the transport shuttle. Mara quickly secured the drives, and Rex fired the engines. The shuttle lifted off just as a wave of Shadow faction soldiers reached the exit. As they soared into the sky, Elias looked back at the ruins. They were gone, hidden once again, but the evidence they carried would shine a light on the truth. "This is only the beginning," he said. "We take this to the Queen, and we show her what really happened." Kale's eyes were wide. "Do you truly believe she will listen?" Elias smiled faintly. "She has to, because the truth cannot be ignored, and because humans do not give up, not on justice, not on friendship, not on honor." Back aboard the Obsidian Throne, the fleet remained on alert. Word of the sabotage had spread, and fear had taken root among the officers. Yet beneath that fear, a spark of hope lingered. A human had dared to challenge the lies. A human had taken action. And that, Elias knew, would inspire more than just his own species. He requested a private audience with the Queen. Mara and Kale accompanied him, providing support and carrying the evidence. They entered the throne room quietly, their presence unassuming yet confident. Queen Zira's golden eyes fixed on Elias. "You return," she said, her voice cool and measured. "Do you bring excuses or proof?" Elias held out the portable drives. "Proof, Your Majesty. Every message, every plan, every connection to the traitor. I did not betray you. I served you faithfully, and these devices will show it." Zira studied the drives, her expression unreadable. For a long moment, silence filled the chamber. The council watched, breathless, waiting for her judgment. Then she spoke, her voice still firm but tinged with curiosity. "If this is true, then my judgment may have been clouded." "Very well, human. Show me." Elias handed the drives to Mara, who activated them. Holographic messages appeared, revealing the Shadow faction's plans, their hidden communications with the Craven Swarm, and the sabotage of the fleet's supplies. The chamber was filled with gasps as the council realized the depth of the deception. The evidence was undeniable. Elias had been framed, and his loyalty was proven beyond doubt. Yet Zira remained silent, her golden eyes fixed on him. Elias met her gaze without flinching. He had faced betrayal, danger, and the weight of mistrust, and he had endured. Finally, Zira spoke. "It seems I may have underestimated you, human. Perhaps you are not as weak as I believed." Elias bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. "I am not here to prove strength, Your Majesty. I am here to prove loyalty, to humanity, to you, and to our alliance." Zira's gaze softened just slightly. though her pride remained. Loyalty is difficult to measure, human, but actions speak louder than words. Today, your actions have shown me much, yet the shadow faction still exists, and the threat of the craven swarm remains. You will not face them alone, I hope. Elias smiled. We will face them together, humans and Zarathians, allies in mind, body, and spirit. As he left the throne room, Elias felt a renewed sense of purpose. The shadow faction had been exposed, but their leader remained at large, hiding somewhere in the galaxy. The battle for trust and survival was far from over. Yet Elias knew one thing with certainty: humanity would not be crushed. Humans had resilience, intelligence, and courage, and those qualities would shine in the darkness ahead. The stars outside the obsidian throne sparkled like diamonds in the void. Elias gazed at them, feeling the heartbeat of humanity pulsing within him. Betrayal had struck, but it had not broken him. And as the fleet prepared for the challenges ahead, one truth remained clear. Humans were not just survivors. They were fighters, thinkers, and allies worthy of the galaxy's greatest trust. The journey to restore full alliance and defeat the Shadow faction had begun, and Elias Drake, wounded but unbroken, would lead the way. The obsidian throne hung in the void like a black jewel, its sharp edges cutting through the darkness of space. Inside, Commander Elias Drake walked quickly along the polished corridor, his mind racing with strategy. The evidence they had recovered from the ruins had exposed the Shadow faction's plans, but the threat had not ended. The Shadow faction was clever, hidden deep within the fleet and still communicating with the craven swarm, sending false commands and creating chaos. Elias's small team, Mara Lynn, Rex Orin, and Kale, followed closely behind. Each carried their share of responsibility. Mara with her technical skills, Rex with tactical knowledge, and Kale with his Zarathian instincts. Together, they were a small but powerful force, capable of challenging the hidden traitors. "The fleet is tense," Kale whispered, his eyes scanning the halls. "Many officers are unsure who to trust. Some doubt you, human." Elias shook his head. "Doubt is easy to spread, Kale, but action is harder. And today, we act. Today, we prove that humans are worthy allies, not just survivors." They arrived at the central command hub, where holographic displays showed the positions of all ships in the fleet. Elias studied the maps carefully. The Shadow faction had embedded false signals into several command channels, creating confusion and leaving critical ships vulnerable. If they did not act quickly, the craven swarm would exploit the chaos and destroy key positions. Rex leaned over a console. "There are multiple nodes transmitting false commands. We need to isolate and shut them down, or the fleet could collapse in hours." Mara's fingers flew over the console. "I can hack the nodes, but I need access to the central relay. That means infiltrating the heart of the fleet. It's risky, but it's the only way." Elias nodded. "Then that is our path. We move together, human and Zarathian, and we restore order. The fleet will survive because we refuse to fail." As they prepared, the doors opened, and Queen Zira entered. Her golden eyes fixed on Elias, her presence commanding and powerful. "I have observed your actions, human," she said. "Your evidence was compelling, but proving your loyalty through words is not enough. Show me your courage, and I will trust you fully." Elias met her gaze without flinching. "I will not fail, Your Majesty. I will protect the fleet, the alliance, and the honor of humanity." Zira nodded. "Then go. Lead with strategy and wisdom, not brute force. Show why humans can stand beside Zarathians, not just in battle, but in judgment and intellect." With the Queen's permission, the team moved to the heart of the fleet. Their small shuttle weaved through massive warships, avoiding patrols and sensor sweeps. The tension was high. Every passing ship could conceal enemies or traitors. Every shadow could hide danger. Yet Elias's mind remained sharp, focused on the task ahead. Finally, they reached the central relay station, a massive structure at the core of the fleet, where all communications and command signals converged. The entrance was guarded by a few shadow faction soldiers. Kyle hissed softly. "They are alert. We must act carefully." Elias gestured for the team to split. Rex created a diversion by hacking a nearby system, causing alarms to ring on the opposite side of the station. Mara and Elias slipped through the shadows, reaching the main console. Elias's hands moved quickly, following Mara's guidance. "Here it is," Mara whispered. "This node is controlling the false commands. I can shut it down, but it will trigger a response. Be ready." Elias nodded. "Do it." As Mara deactivated the node, the alarms blared loudly. The Shadow Faction's leader appeared, a tall Zarathian cloaked in black, eyes glowing with malice. "So, the human thinks he can undo my work," he hissed. "You are foolish." Elias stepped forward. "I am not just a human. I am the proof that strength, courage, and intelligence are not limited by species, and today I will stop you." The Shadow Leader lunged, but Elias was ready. Using the station's controls, he triggered energy barriers, blocking the leader's path. Kyle engaged the soldiers, moving with lightning speed, his claws deflecting attacks without striking lethally. Rex flanked them, using clever traps and distractions to immobilize enemies. It was a battle of strategy rather than sheer force. Elias used his knowledge of human engineering and tactics, anticipating each move and turning the Shadow Faction's strength against them. Slowly, the intruders were cornered. The leader snarled, realizing he could not win against this coordinated effort. "You may have cleverness, human," he said, "but the galaxy is not so simple. You may have delayed me, but I will return." Elias stepped closer, unwavering. "Return if you must. But know this, humanity will be ready. We will adapt, fight, and overcome. You cannot break our spirit." With a final warning hiss, the Shadow Leader vanished through a teleportation gate, leaving the station under Elias's control. Mara sighed in relief. "Node shut down. The fleet's communications are restored. False commands stopped." Elias looked at the displays. The fleet was no longer in chaos. Ships realigned, officers regained confidence, and the Alliance's strength was visible again. Yet he knew the battle was not truly over. The Shadow Leader remained free, a threat lurking in the darkness. Kyle approached him, a rare smile on his face. "You have done well, human. You have shown courage and cleverness. Today you earned respect, not just from me, but from many others." Elias smiled faintly. "It is not just me. It is all of us, humans and Zarathians. Together we can face deception, betrayal, and danger. Alone we may fall, but together we can survive anything." Mara added, "And now we have proof. Not only that I did not lie, but that the Alliance can withstand betrayal. This is a lesson that the Queen and the fleet must remember." Rex nodded. "Humans may be underestimated sometimes, but they have courage and ingenuity. Today, we proved it." As they left the relay station, Elias received a secure message from Queen Zira. Her words were measured, but a hint of respect was evident. "Elias Drake, you have acted wisely and with courage. You have saved the fleet and revealed the truth. I have judged too quickly, and you have proven that humans are capable of more than I thought. But the Shadow Leader remains. Stay vigilant." Elias read the message aloud to his team. "She acknowledges our work, and she admits her mistake. That is progress. But our task is not finished. The Shadow Faction will not give up easily. Neither will we." The team returned to their shuttle, flying through the fleet now stabilized and coordinated. Officers gave them nods of respect, recognizing the human who had turned the tide. It was a small victory, but it carried a weight far greater than the moment itself. In the observation deck, Elias looked out at the stars once more. The galaxy stretched endlessly, beautiful yet full of danger, but humanity's spirit had proven itself. Humans could survive, adapt, and even lead in moments of crisis. That spirit, combined with loyalty and intelligence, was a force that even alien species could respect. Kyle stood beside him, tail flicking thoughtfully. "Do you think the Queen truly trusts you now?" Elias shook his head. "Trust is earned, Kyle, and it can be lost again. But we have made her see that humans are worthy allies. That is enough for now. The rest, we will earn, step by step." Mara placed a hand on his shoulder. "Step by step, one challenge at a time, and together we will face whatever comes next." Elias nodded, a quiet smile crossing his face. "The Shadow faction may hide, and the Craven Swarm may wait, but they will learn one truth. Humanity does not break. We adapt, we fight, and we endure. That is our strength." The stars outside seemed to shine a little brighter that night, as if acknowledging the courage and determination of a single human who had faced betrayal, danger, and doubt, and had emerged victorious. The battle for trust had been won. The fight for the galaxy was far from over, and Elias Drake, human and hero, would continue to lead with courage, intelligence, and unwavering resolve. For the first time in days, he allowed himself a deep breath. He had faced the Shadow, proven his loyalty, and inspired both humans and Zerathians. But the Shadow Leader's warning lingered in his mind, a reminder that vigilance, courage, and strategy would always be necessary. And Elias Drake was ready. The obsidian throne glowed softly against the dark expanse of space, its jagged edges slicing through the stars. Inside, Commander Elias Drake prepared for what would be the decisive moment of the conflict. The Shadow faction's leader still remained at large, hidden somewhere within the fleet, and the threat of the Craven Swarm loomed ever closer. But Elias had a plan, one that relied not on brute force alone, but on ingenuity, courage, and the unity between humans and Zerathians. He stood with Mara Lynn, Rex Orin, and Kale, reviewing the data they had gathered. Holographic maps showed the location of the Shadow faction's hidden communication nodes and the suspected position of their leader. Elias traced a path with his finger. "This is it," he said. "We hit their command nodes first, cut off communication. Then we force the Shadow Leader into the open. The fleet will follow our lead." Kyle flicked his tail thoughtfully. "And the Queen? Will she support this?" Elias smiled faintly. "She trusts the plan. She knows the fleet needs a human to lead this mission, someone who sees differently, who acts with strategy and reason, not pride or fear." The small shuttle lifted off and weaved through the fleet, avoiding patrols and sensors. Elias's heart beat steadily, each pulse reminding him of the responsibility on his shoulders. Humans were few in number among the Zerathian ships, but their creativity, courage, and determination could tip the balance. He had proved this before, and he would prove it again. As they approached the hidden command nodes, alarms flared across the Shadow faction's network. Elias gave a sharp nod. "Mara, initiate the override." Mara's fingers flew across the console. The nodes began to shut down one by one, cutting off false commands and restoring order to the fleet. Within minutes, the confusion that had plagued the Zerathian forces dissipated. Ships realigned, communications cleared, and the officers regained confidence. But the Shadow Leader would not remain idle. A portal opened, and the cloaked figure appeared, moving with lethal precision. "You have disrupted my plans, human," he hissed. "But you cannot stop me. The Craven Swarm will prevail, and your species will fail." Elias squared his shoulders. "You may have tricks, but humans adapt. We survive, And today we end this. The battle that followed was not one of brute force, but of strategy, intelligence, and collaboration. Elias coordinated with both humans and Zarathians, issuing commands, predicting enemy movements, and using the fleet's superior technology to block escape routes. Kyle and the Zarathian soldiers worked alongside human marines, moving with precision and skill. The Shadow Leader attempted to flee through the fleet, but Elias anticipated every move, guiding ships to intercept him. The leader snarled in frustration. "Clever human! But the galaxy is vast! You cannot corner me!" Elias's gaze was calm. "Maybe not the galaxy, but I can corner you here now." The Shadow Leader was forced into a trap, a carefully coordinated ambush where both humans and Zarathians worked in perfect synchronization. Instead of destroying him outright, Elias used a non-lethal energy net to immobilize the leader, proving not only strategy, but honor. Mara approached the captured leader. "The fleet is safe. Your plans are exposed. You cannot harm us anymore." The leader glared, furious but trapped. Elias looked down at him. "This is what humans do. We fight, we protect, and we think. Violence alone is not enough. Intelligence and teamwork matter. Remember that." Kale stepped forward. "You will face justice, not vengeance. That is how the Alliance survives, not by fear, but by unity." With the Shadow faction neutralized, the fleet could now focus on the real threat: the Craven Swarm. Holographic displays showed the swarm moving closer, their numbers vast, their intent clear. But now, the fleet was united, coordinated, and ready. Elias stood on the observation deck, looking at the mass of ships, human and Zarathian alike. "This is our chance," he said. "We combine our strengths. Humans bring strategy, creativity, and courage. Zarathians bring power, speed, and experience. Together, we are unstoppable." Queen Zyra entered silently, her golden eyes watching him. For the first time, her expression held admiration. "You have shown courage, human, wisdom, ingenuity, and leadership. You have earned the right to stand beside me in this battle." Elias bowed slightly. "I am here to serve your majesty, to protect the Alliance and prove that humanity is worthy of trust." Zyra nodded. "Then lead with honor. The fleet follows your plan." The battle began. The Craven Swarm descended with ferocious speed, massive ships moving in formation, firing energy weapons and boarding parties. But Elias's strategy held. Humans guided small squadrons, predicting swarm movements, redirecting fire, and using traps to slow their advance. Zarathian capital ships delivered overwhelming power at key points. Mara and Rex coordinated electronic warfare, jamming Craven communications, while Kale and Zarathian strike teams defended critical vessels. Every move was calculated, every tactic precise. It was not brute force alone that won the day, but intelligence, courage, and coordination, the hallmarks of human and Zarathian unity. Hours passed, the battle raging like a storm across the stars. The Craven Swarm faltered, their attacks becoming disorganized. Elias saw an opportunity. "Now!" he shouted. "Focus fire on the command ship. Concentrate all resources." The fleet obeyed, moving as one. Energy beams struck the Craven flagship, disabling its shields. Boarding parties led by humans and Zarathians seized control, capturing the leaders and cutting off the rest of the swarm's forces. Within moments, the swarm's fleet collapsed, surrendering or fleeing into the void. Elias allowed himself a moment to breathe. The fleet was victorious. Humans and Zarathians had fought together, side by side, and had overcome overwhelming odds. But the victory was not just in the defeat of the enemy. It was in proving the power of trust, courage, and unity. Queen Zyra approached him, her golden eyes softened with respect. "You have done what few could. You have shown that humanity is not just capable of survival, but of leadership. Today, humans have earned their place among us, not as servants but as allies. Elias smiled faintly, tired but proud. We only fight for what is right, Your Majesty, for honor, loyalty, and unity. Humans do not seek power for its own sake. We fight to protect, to think, and to endure. Zira's gaze lingered on him, a rare gesture of acknowledgement. You have proven yourself. You may stand beside me, not just in battle, but in respect. Today, humanity is remembered. As the fleet celebrated their victory, Elias took a moment to look at the stars. Humanity had faced betrayal, deception, and near defeat. Yet through courage, intelligence, and unwavering determination, they had endured. They had not only survived, they had triumphed. Kyle approached him, tail flicking in quiet approval. You have done well, human. Today your kind is not merely trusted. You are respected. Elias nodded. It is not just me. Every human and Zarathian who fought together made this possible. And this is only the beginning. The galaxy will always have threats, but together we are stronger than any shadow or swarm. Mara added, We have shown that cleverness, courage, and loyalty matter more than fear or deception. Humans have a place in this galaxy, and it is one earned by action and honor. Rex smiled. We've faced betrayal, danger, and overwhelming odds. And yet here we are. That is the strength of humanity. That is the strength of unity. As the celebration continued across the fleet, Elias allowed himself a quiet thought. Humans had been doubted, humiliated, and cast aside. But they had proven that spirit, intelligence, and courage could overcome even the darkest challenges. The galaxy had witnessed it. The Zarathians had witnessed it. And humanity had proven its worth, not by destruction, but by endurance, wisdom, and honor. The stars outside the obsidian throne shimmered like diamonds, reflecting the light of victory, trust, and renewed alliance. Elias Drake, human and hero, stood among allies, respected by friend and former skeptic alike. Betrayal had struck, but it had not broken him. Adversity had come, but it had revealed humanity's strength. The Shadow Leader had been stopped, the Craven Swarm defeated, and trust restored. But more importantly, Elias had proven that humans could stand proudly among the stars, worthy of honor, courage, and respect. For the first time in what felt like eternity, Elias allowed himself to smile freely. He had faced betrayal, danger, and doubt, and humanity had triumphed. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and opportunities, and humans, he knew, would meet them with courage, intelligence, and unwavering spirit. The story of this battle, of betrayal and redemption, of courage and loyalty, would be remembered across the stars. And humans would never be underestimated again.